Highly good evening, and you're welcome to yet another edition of Unfiltered Conversation on Cleveland TV. My name is Frank Kalidemida. Like I always say, please remember to keep signing up with us on www.cleveland.com. All right, for the record, I'd like to say this edition of the program is a non-political discussion. We are just gathered to discuss about the 16th day in office of Nigerian President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. All right, and my guest this evening is Dr. Wale Pupola, who is the Director of Cyber Rights South Africa. Doctor, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, then I have Dr. Lugent Artwelimen, a foundation member of APC South Africa. You're welcome to the program, sir. Yeah, I have again Dr. Olobumi Alabi of the Tinubu Support Group, and also Prince Debo Adeshino of the PDP and then of the People Democratic Party. You're welcome to the
Thank you
program.
very much.
All right, and then let's not forget we are expelling the sixth president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and his critical look into the 16 days in office. All right, now let's start with this, and I would like to talk to start with and Dr. Wale Pupola. Let's extrail these 16 days of the president in his office, taking it from the angle of good governance and the good leadership. Please, let's hear you.
Thank you, Ms. Franca. I think it's early days to assess anybody within 16 days. As we all know very well, in employment relation, people are assessed based on probation for 3 months or 6 months. So I think it's too early for us to have any scorecard for the president. However, I think he has set the record straight in so many directions on the trajectory that Nigeria would be moving. You know, he has signed many laws into operation, and he has made some pronouncements, one of which is to double the economy, achieve 7% annual GDP growth rate, you know, lift 100 million Nigerian people from poverty, so and so many others. So I think it's a good beginning for him, that we hope that the mandate given to him will be executed with the cooperation of every Nigerian that has voted him into office. And in my view, I think that we are expecting a lot from His Excellency at this point. The leadership is emanates from followership, so it's going to be a direction. It's going to be a reflection of what the followership is doing in the Nigerian system. But I'm very hopeful that is a renewal of the Nigerian socio-economy, is a rebirth and a redirection that will take us from the various issues that we have been having in Nigeria. So I'm very hopeful in this new administration based on what the president did when he was the governor of Lagos State. So that is my introduction for now. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Do you share his opinion?
Yes, in many ways I do. But you know, when you want to erect a building, the foundation, your first steps determines a lot. I can actually give an impression or a direction of where the administration is going. So the first steps of that we are currently seeing on display, it shows that the Nigeria is actually on a 360-degree to the right direction in terms of all the bills that are currently being signed, and then the actions of the president in terms of how some critical sectors are going to be manned, and the idea around inclusion of the youth and women in the recent appointments is already showing the direction that this is going to be an administration that will, encompass the youth and women in the Nigerian polity, which is going to be novel in many ways than one. So on that note, I do agree that, of course, it's on the right direction, and we can already see that we're going to get to where we intend to get to, or at least close to. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Additional, let's get your own opinion.
Well, I might be a little bit differ from the two speakers because we all knew that the appointment has always been appointment based on sentiment of who and who around me during my political sojourn. I'm referring to the 16th president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. However, with how he has started, it shows that he has hit the ground running. But my advice to Mr. President, not to only look into the people of APC for this administration, now that he is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we should also look into all the directions of some of the people, whether you are the APC, Labour Party, or even people that are not even partisan, to also be all inclusive selection. You should not look at it based on the previous administration. I'm talking about retired General Muhammad Buhari that chose the ladder of who must, the ladder that stipulated you did not vote for me, so definitely I'm not going to, how will I say, appoint you. Whereas we are expecting a country where the president will put the right peg at the right hole. Thank you.
It's all right, but have we actually seen any examples of that? Because many people will not share the same opinion as they just outlined. Because many people actually believe that he's trying to pick good hands, sound brain for those positions.
No.
So why do you think he?
It's an obvious fact. I will speak from the opposition side, where I can raise my fingers or point my finger at some of the appointees. Let's take a look at the SG. It's from APC. That's I'm talking about Secretary of State. I'm talking about the Secretary to the Federal Government of Nigeria. When you see all the advisor, like I'll talk about an APC man that's contested under ACN before, the former EFCC chairperson. You know, when you
Ribadu.
look, yeah, Ribado, when you look at all those people that he has, I've not really seen people that are not part of his campaign per se. Having said that, there's a young man where we notice that he has already penciled down, but until that one is done. But guess what? Almost all the people that I believe this current president will select will be from the party. But I will put it across again that we want him to look outside the box, not only looking at the people that must have worked for him openly, to also consider some other set of people. Most especially, we know the focus will be America, Canada, or United Kingdom. What about other people on the continent, most especially people from South Africa? We have competent hands also in South Africa, and most of them might not be part of this APC in diaspora. That is why I'm quickly raising this.
All right, thank you so much, Prince Adesina. Dr. Alabi, I'd like you to come in here. All right, because will you agree with me that at times when you want to like pick some persons for a particular cause, you look within your own family, because those are the people that you actually know, understand their work so far and then what they can do. Do you think there's a reason he has picked people that are close to him, just like that? Dr. Alabi, please. Hello, ma'am. I think he's left us. But actually, I will take the question back to you. But please, Dr. Wale, let me get your opinion on that. Isn't it wise that he has picked these people because he knows them, he knows what they can deliver and all that? And do you think it's a good idea for him to have done that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you cannot work with people you do not know very well. They are in and out, must be well known to you. And don't let us forget that in the history of this man, His Excellency, perhaps he seems to be the only person that has gone beyond his primary constituency. You know, when he was governor of Lagos State, he appointed many people outside Lagos State, including people from the eastern part of Nigeria. And again, the question I want Prince to answer is that according to what PDP believes in, is anybody in PDP ready to serve under His Excellency? Because at the moment, there's a litigation against the government, against His Excellency. So are they ready to come into the government and partake in the system? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. But I'm very sure that being a very experienced economist and an accountant is going to look beyond the political party. But the appointment that he has made are appointments that are the core areas of governance that I believe, in my view, that he should put people who have gone through the campaign process. They have been tested and tried on many occasions. So it's not going to get somebody outside the system. So that's going to be my response to what Prince alluded to. Thank you.
That's quite interesting. Dr. Legend, actually, I need you to come in there. Let's get your opinion. Is it wise for someone to work with people that you are familiar with, people you've worked with, people you've tested, and you know that these people, they are trusted? Is it much more profitable to work with people like that? And then do you think the president has made the right choice in his the team that he has picked for this job?
Okay, I'll just say, I think Mr. Popola, I think, has actually touched almost everything I actually wanted to say. The truth of the matter Raju is known for one thing, who is never boxed, you understand, in terms of his, in delivering whatever agenda he wants to deliver for any entity, political entity that is leading. He did that throughout his 8 years as a governor. And then he picked people from diverse backgrounds, from outside the ACN in those days, from outside his tribe, from outside his religion. He thinks outside the box in everything he does. What he mostly looked out for and what he has proclaimed, that he's actually looking out for competence. But indeed, the APC itself has a lot of competent people. So, and for this early period of time, it needs to ensure while the system is just starting, the government is just starting, his focus must be people is familiar with, that you understand their competence. And indeed, before he then starts to look outside the box even more from the opposition party needs to show readiness to play ball with the government. Because do not forget,
exactly,
Asiwaju have already said that he's gaming for the government of national unity. So, that's on one side. He's going to get people in who are not necessarily politicians. Even two persons, the appointee now for the energy sector, the young 45-year-old lady, she's not at the front of the campaign of APC. People seldom know her. But then now she's likely going to get a ministerial appointment because all these 20 appointees, special advisors, are actually eventually going to transition probably to ministerial appointments eventually. So you can see as it spread. So he's not looking within the core of APC, but then APC is waiting for the opposition to come on board. Then we can consider those who also have progressive minds among them to be inculcated into the system. So it's three things here now. One, the core people who are going to form the government. Remember, it's not just about Asiwaju. It's about the party. They need to deploy their cadres from within the party. That is sacrosanct. Then number two, they need to get people who are not necessarily in the party, but can do good for the agenda, the renewed hope agenda that we have for Nigeria. So he's already showing signs that he's doing that. So the third tranche of the thing now is to see who are in the opposition camp that he can bring it. Mind you, some persons on their own volition from the opposition camp, maybe from the G5 caucus and stuff, they're already approaching Asiwaju and he's giving them audience. So that's the third level now. And then, of course, we know, since he has declared that he's going for government of national unity, he's going to bring in some of them who are open and who are, oriented and in tune with his agenda. Yeah, because you can't bring someone in if the person is not in tune with your agenda. Otherwise, it will rock the boat. So they must also show their hand that and that renewal agenda that you have, I think we are okay with it. Then perhaps I should want to welcome them in, because it's not just going to bring them in for bringing them in sake. You need to show your hand. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Labi, I'll get back to you, but shortly I want us to actually just round up the series that we just started, and which is still on him using members of his party and then not considering the opposition party. Dr. Adesina, please, I'll like you to take it from here. Let's look at it. As it stands now, PDP members are still in court with His Excellency's party, and then even the Labour Party. All right, now, what gave you the confidence that even the opposition party will want to be members, okay, want to be selected into His Excellency's and cabinet? Why are you so sure that they want to participate in his programs, knowing fully well that right now they are not in support of his presidency?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very critical and critical question, and I will be very honest with you. As you know, I'm a very staunch supporter of His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. That is my principal, and the former Vice President of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes, we are in court, but at the same time, we know that the way things are going on, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, is already sworn in. And whether we like it or not, at the moment, is the 16th president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. However, as we know, that the court, that is where we have the judiciary, that's why the tribunal working, that's why we've already placed some powerful lawyers to see into the last election, to see all the abnormalities that must have played out in order for us to see if, I will bracket it, if we can claim the mandate that we expect. But in the other side of the whole thing, how we want to see good governance in Nigeria, like I used to say, whoever that will give us the best in the country, God, that is from the spiritual side of it, God to allow the person to be and give the person good health and the wisdom in order for him to deliver. But as it stands like this, I'm not saying my party people want to work with Ahmed Bola Tinubu as the president as it is now, but I know with the rate of his action, and in fact the level of his action, it seems he wants to deliver. But I'm yet to really study hard, but I will always play a role of opposition, and I will also shadow his government as an opposition. And where he is doing well, we raise the scorecard, we praise him, and where we feel he's not doing well as expected, we criticize it. That is the beauty of democracy.
All right, Dr. Labi, thanks for joining us. All right, my question will go to you. Renewed hope, renewed hope, renewed hope. Now, with all the different policies we are saying, and then some laws being signed into, some bills being signed into law, is that a beginning of new hope, really, for Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Absolutely. It is, I don't even know where to start. It is definitely the start of renewed hope. I know one of the panelists had said it's early days. I think Dr. Popola said it's early days yet, for us to begin to assess, if we are heading for renewed hope. But, in Yoruba, we have a proverb that says that, you will know already from the morning how the day is going to be. So in these early days, we have seen certainly the steps that he has taken, some of the things he has already signed into law, some of the appointments that he has made, the way he has balanced some of the key appointments. This is definitely the steps that is telling us, no, we are heading in the right direction. And I was actually speaking with somebody earlier on today and talking about how well we are already scoring, our 16th president of the federation. And the person said, no, we don't score based on your efforts. We score based on your performance. That's how people get. No, the person said, at work, you don't get paid for your efforts, you get paid for your performance or your outputs. And I said, but already, if you are calculating how much are you going to pay this person, you start looking at the efforts, and then you start knowing whether the effort is leading somewhere. And that's exactly what we are doing. So definitely the efforts that we can see so far is telling us that indeed we are on the right path to renewed hope. I have absolutely no doubt. And some of the naysayers have been coming on board and saying that, yes, of a fact, they are shocked. Some of them are shocked that, we could have this degree of activity already barely 2 weeks into the government. So for sure, we are on a path to renewed hope. And we will have what we...
16 days in 16 days in office, like about 2 or 3 persons have said, is actually too early. So should I say to jubilate and think that we are actually on the path? Because we've seen most of these things before now. When President Buhari entered, we had the same mindset of things going to change, and he actually started with. But at the end of the day, we couldn't get anything called continuity. There was no continuity in what he started. And the most people comes up and said, oh, godfatherism came into play, cabals came into play, and so many excuses. And at the end of the day, Nigeria still remained as it is now before 2 weeks back or thereabout. So, Wale, please, let's get to hear from you. In what the president has started so far, do you see continuity in it?
Different people come with different programs. So we are talking about an independent person, a different individual who has his own style of management and leadership. But the key area of continuity that the Nigerians will be expecting will be on the area of economic development, economic growth and development, that the economy is not in a good shape. And I will be expecting that that is the key area. But the continuity should not be seen from the negative aspect. It should be from the positive aspect. For example, let's take the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Should we continue at the rate that the previous government dealt with the issue of security? Absolutely no. We cannot continue at that level. So it must be done differently. And we know that where there is no security, where there is no physical security, where there is no peace, there can't be economic growth, no development. Growth. So when you say continuity, I really do not know in what context anyway, but we are hoping that...
I think I have to clarify that. I'm not talking of continuity from his predecessor. I'm talking of continuity from the way he has started, the way he has worked in these 16 days. I only brought in his predecessor because I said, even in his own time, he started like this. But at the end of the day, there was no continuity. It was like everything came to a standstill. So for him now, for the president now, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, are we expecting a continuity of what he has started so far?
Like I said in my... thank you very much for the clarity. Like I said in my introduction, if we go back to when he was the governor of Lagos State for 8 years, he lived up to the expectation that the Lagosians were expecting from him. So I don't think that there's going to be any difference in that regard. So we are expecting that the continuity will show in all areas of the economy of what he has started, because I must tell you, Nigerians are angry. Nigerians are not happy. There are many Nigerians that
Exactly.
are out of the country, and many also still want to get out of the country. So the expectation is so high. And even if the presidency is not interested in continuity, e-governance is going to force him, which is another issue. We've seen how social media has been controlling the various governments in the world, forcing government or compelling them to change their various decisions or policies. In almost every country, we've seen that in the last 3-5 years. So that's an area that I'm also looking into. That should His Excellency not perform up to the expectation, e-governance is coming into being, and the politicians should be aware that e-governance is something that will force them at every point in time when any negative decision is taken or irrational decision is taken. They'll be forced and they'll be asked those questions. Accountability will be on the rise. Responsibility will be on the rise. So for me, there will definitely be that continuity, and that's why he was tested in Lagos State, and he has proven to be the best person. Hence, the mandates that was given to him by Nigerians.
If you talk about his work in Lagos State, I will agree with you on that. But do you think the social media, let's take the Nigerian scenario, social media in Nigeria scenario now, do you think it really have any effect on governance in Nigeria?
It does. It might not be magical as we might expect it, but it has its own impact. You can imagine 10 years ago, people's voices were not heard. It was through the traditional media. But now everybody has a voice. You could say whatever that you have to say. So gradually, it is having that effect. Of course, I don't have my statistics, but I know as personally, maybe because of my field, which is cyber law, I do know personally that various governments have been taken on by the citizens, even in countries that you never expect, in the traditional Islamic countries. They've taken on the government. So Nigeria should not be an exception. And if you recall, when internet or Twitter, I can't remember which of the social media platforms was intercepted by the Nigerian government, there were technical alternatives by the people who voiced out their grievances. So this should not be an exception, that Nigerians will keep quiet. The noise that people will be making will increase because people are not happy with the Nigerian system, So in my view, e-governance will take a very center stage in the current administration.
All right, thank you so much, Bob. Continuity in governance, Dr. Ligental Solime. Continuity, we are still debating on that, starting well and then ending well. Do you think it is possible in Nigeria and then with this administration?
Yeah, I think that question speaks to sustainability in governance in terms of what the trajectory is currently on, if it's sustainable or not.
Exactly.
I will say, obviously, it is sustainable. And then with the clear manner, with the precision that he has,
Hello.
That's the Nigeria.
I think we've lost him there. So Dr. Adesina, while we wait for his network to come back on, let's get to hear your view.
Oh, my view on the continuity. Well, the continuity, I want to ask, what continuity are we talking about? Is it sacking and replacement? We know we started by going for the central bank governor, which we all know before the election started. We've seen the reaction of the opposition of the Bola Tinubu, the president Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Okay, and he said it in Abeokuta in our language that Egbo Pamo Amadibo, meaning even if you hide the money. So him sacking him, which makes some of his supporters to be jubilating, and based on what has happened during the time of the redesign of the money, So to me, sacking him does not really show that
Prince Debo, please, you permit me there. We are going to take those steps one after the other, actually. We're going to take from the fuel subsidy, to the sacking of the CBN governor, EFCC governor.
But what do you mean by the continuity you are talking about? Are you talking about what has he done that you want him to continue?
Exactly. I was actually asking of sustaining. Yeah, I was actually asking of him sustaining what he has started. But we'll come back to what you were trying to point out.
No, what has this started? Is it the sacking and replacement, or
that's why I said we'll come back to that, because definitely the sacking you are looking at as something very small. Nigerians are actually applauding that, because we knew what Nigerians passed through 2-3 years back, even a few months back. So we'll come back to that. But please, Dr. Legend, I'd like to continue with what you were saying on sustaining his policies so far.
Thank you very much. Well, like I said, like I was trying to say, the continuity has to do with sustaining this current trajectory that he has placed there. And if you look at the precision at which he has responded and intervened in critical sectors, it is very defining and is well grounded. For example, energy. Taking the energy sector from the exclusive list, but not just the federal government is allowed to generate and distribute electricity. Now, states can give, so we can actually have multiple facets of people investing and participating in the generation and distribution of electricity, because that is very central in sustaining an economy. Energy sector is very important, and there's a bill to that. It's a law. It's not going to be revoked anytime soon. So it's going to be something that will be with us for a lifetime in this generation. So that is going to also take care of itself. It's going to be sustainable, and more foreign direct investors is going to go there. The local participation in electricity is going to be widened. That is there. On subsidy removal, obviously subsidy is gone. The way and manner at which he came at it, even while he was campaigning, he was very clear about that subsidy is going. He even said anybody can protest, but subsidy is going. He is very clear about that. And the subsidy is indeed gone for day one. And then with that taking place, we can already see, and then you notice that there's not even protest, even despite the fact that the cost of fuel has risen, but average Nigerian understands that this subsidy has been a serious, a devilish advocate within the Nigerian political system. So he has to go. So everyone is embracing it and not minding even pay a little extra. Because at the end of the day, when competition is then introduced into this sector, then the market forces will drive the prices down. When there are more people who are able to import and get and produce oil and then share for the Nigerian masses, it will drive the prices down. Next year, BUA is going to complete its refinery to augment Dangote. Because for the first time in Nigeria history, we are going to be generating our own refining our own fuel. That is sustainable. That we're not going back on that. You understand? So we're going to be refining our own fuel. We're not taking it outside again and then pay billions of dollars to a foreign country and then bring it back to us, and then we are paying a certain amount. Then people can then take it to government and say, oh, we have brought in so take receipt to government and say, we have brought so barrel of oil in from outside to pay us. Those are part of the problems with the subsidy ideas. So all those things are actually going to be sustainable in themselves.
All right, but you just made mention of something when you said Nigerians are happy, that everybody is happy with that decision. But I want to tell you that I've talked with quite a number of people that are not happy with that decision, especially knowing fully well at the long run that only Dangote you just mentioned is going to have monopoly for now over that sector. Okay. All right, now, do you think, Dr. Alabi, do you think that could pose a much bigger problem in the future than what we are even trying to avert now? Only a single man having monopoly of the production of fuel in the country.
there's no way that one person will have a single monopoly, because there are other people who do have licenses for refineries, and it's just Dangote that has started this. But in time, we are going to see other people coming up. There are other refineries, at least 2 others that I'm aware of, that are coming up. And so that the issue of monopoly, that's not even, that doesn't arise. And like Dr. Suleiman said, it's just going to, this is definitely something that is sustainable, because with 2 other refineries coming up, once Dangote's one starts to roll out, we are definitely going to have options. And then the existing options of importing still, it still applies. So there's just going to be lots and lots of ways of getting fuel into the country in a way that market forces will be truly, truly at play. Right now, it looks it's not up until now, there has been zero market forces. But right now, from next year, I say, Nigerians just need to understand, and people need to be educated. People need to be taught. And that's the role that some of us are playing, especially in the TSO. That's the role that we play, to enlighten the people so that they can all come to, they can be on the same page with, what the government is trying to achieve. When we try, the fact is, we had gone very far as a country. We had gone very far. That's why Nigerians were crying. A lot of people had lost hope in the country. Some people even started saying there's no way to fix it. So whenever things go so knotted up, so bad, there is always a painful period of recovery. And that's what we are going through now, with the high cost of fuel, the fact that we need to, endure some hardship. But once everything starts to fall into place, we will all have the Nigeria of our dreams. So, issue of having one man having a monopoly, they can throw that out of the window. So whoever thinks that should just watch this space. Other refineries are coming up, and we're going to have multiple streams of supply for fuel going forward.
All right, Dr. Additional. Oh, Prince Additional, rather, sorry. Prince Additional.
Now, what do you want me to talk about? Is it the continuity?
Definitely, there are lots to talk about. We're going to take the different policies one after the other, and I need you to come in.
Okay,
all right.
Now,
I need you to come in on the fuel subsidy remover. All right.
My camera is on.
No, but we can't see you. I think he can't see you as well.
Can you see me now?
Not yet.
No, we can't.
Not yet.
All right. So while we wait for you to feed that, please, Dr. Wale, I need you to come in there and talk on, let's say, the 8 special advisors that His Excellency has picked. Most Nigerians picked.
Yes, we can see you now.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Fuel subsidy. To you people that are fully in support of the 16th President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, I know you guys are not children. You know, in the past, when the former President of Nigeria, Jonathan Goodluck, tried to remove the subsidy, we know the role the opposition played. They made it an obvious fight, whereby the likes of the former president mashed the current president. They were all writing all sort of things. But guess what? Removing of the subsidy now seems to be a shock to people, because there's nothing for people to fall back. The wages still remain 30,000 naira, and you expect people to be clapping for you. What you've done is to cut off the mafians around the around the subsidy. You've cut their throats. That's fine. Are you going to now continue to cut the throat of those guys, and while your citizens are dying? People are crying. Have you managed to see stable, let me say, like a grant for the people of Federal Republic of Nigeria to use, even with this subsidy. So to me, all these things might look big to some people, but to all students of history and what we've seen happening in the past would not be so excited. However, he has done the right thing, even though he has used this right thing to play politics in the past.
All right, you did make mention of the government of ex-president Goodluck Jonathan. Now, I would like to come in there. When you say a leader, what are those attributes or the features of a good leader or of good leadership? Now, if, for instance, we've heard so many things from Tinubu about these laws that he has implemented, all right? Now, at the end of the day, we see how Nigerians has bashed him from different directions. But he stood his ground. Why? Because he believed in what he is doing, all right? Now, if President Goodluck Jonathan couldn't stand his ground and they knew what he was doing, whose responsibility was that to have make him understood that, see, when you believe in something, when you think is good, stand by it. Don't be cajoled into doing what you think is not right for the nation. So don't you see it as a good leadership quality in him for him to have been able to stand the heat of time and then still kept to his word?
Sorry, madam, I think you are mixing it now. Good leadership or taking a stand on something that you know is an obvious fact. Okay, during the time of Jonathan was still in the middle of his government. Okay, meaning that he's trying to please the people in order for him to get re-elected. However, this current president got the baton passed to him from his predecessors because they've already had, in fact, the arrangement has already been in place that subsidy will be removed. So fortunately for him, on his ground running, he just pulled the trigger immediately, because if he has waited maybe for a few months to be putting all those things in place, which he knows, being a very good man in the mobile oil, he knows the intrigues of these people stealing, making a lot of money. He has a lot of alibi that have stolen this subsidy money. He knows the game. The current president is a man that has practically invested all over the 36 states. And he knows the people that are really the thieves. You understand what I'm saying? So doing all these things, to me, is not a superstar. It's just something that Jonathan Goodluck was trying to please the people after they mobilized them against him. So he has to really calm down to see, if I manage to get my second term, then I'll pull the trigger. But Nigeria can easily check it out, and they played him out, even the people within his own party. So don't blame Jonathan Goodluck for not
No, please,
standing
no,
firm on
please,
his
Prince.
position.
Prince Debo, I wasn't blaming Goodluck Jonathan. I was just trying to compare the two.
No,
Should I say leave
there's no
that now?
comparison between
I
the two.
wasn't
No,
actually blaming him. But you
no,
said
no,
based on the public
there's
outcry
comparison.
that he chickened out. That will constitute a very
No,
different conversation for another day setting. And like I said earlier, this program is not a political discussion. We are just trying to see the way out of where we are today to get a better Nigeria for each and every one of us. Legends, you're saying something?
Oh,
Oh, please.
okay, thank you. I just wanted to maybe just intervene a bit there. That one thing I will say is this is not comparing, condemning Jonathan or anything, but then you also understand that there's something called leadership. Leadership, part of the skill of a leader is to know how to be precise about a decision, know when to strike, know when not to strike, know when to provide cushion effects, know when to knows the principal actors that needs to be caged for your project or your plan to be executed. I'll give you an instance. The moment this thing was removed, I'll just say this. I don't know if many people notice. The Marketers Association, Oil Marketers Association in Nigeria, they met with the president. Up until today, each time they meet with the president, it's always behind closed doors. You know what Asiwaju did this time around? When they came, there were cameras waiting. So Asiwaju is telling them this thing is going on, and then we're not turning back. And the camera was looking at everybody's face, everybody call your name, call your name, call your name. So you can see now Nigeria can identify who are the oil marketers. Before they're like a ghost. But today Asiwaju made everybody to know them. But during Jonathan's time, it was usually backdoor discussions. And you understand.
Dr. Legend, I wouldn't want us to compare, please. So let's be past
let's not compare. I was actually trying to speak about, even in leadership, you have to know who are your leviathans, who are the people that are actually causing problems, and know how to actually cage them. That helps and that makes a difference in ensuring the sustainability of whatever project that you have put before the people, vis-a-vis oil removal or subsidy removal in the oil sector. So beyond removing it, you need to also know the intrigues and how to play the politics around it to ensure it is sustainable. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Wale, your opinion, please.
Yeah, I think Prince Additional has really played the role of opposition. Kudos to you, sir. Because Dr. Legend earlier on mentioned that His Excellency said it several times that he was going to remove the subsidy on fuel. He said it. He wasn't hiding. So we consented to that. And what should be the concern of the opposition?
Sorry, please. Not just His Excellency, other candidates actually said the same thing.
Exactly. So it's not new. Yeah, it's not new. So what we should be concerned about is the accountability, the revenue derived from the fuel subsidy. Can the government be very transparent and open on what will be used for when the revenue is collected? So that should be our concern. That can we really monitor and administer the revenue derived from the fuel subsidy? That should be our concern, because the leakages are too many that we may not be able to cover within a short time, to cover the loopholes or the leakages in the economy. So so that's what we should be concerned about, Prince Additional. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let's look at the policies on the students' loan. Okay, I'd like you to come up on the students' loan. How do you rate it?
Who is talking?
Yeah, you please.
Okay, no, I was actually hoping to I was going to follow on what Dr. Popola just said about the students' loan, because that is one thing particularly that excited me, when I saw that signed in, because it's, for me, that was one of the arms of good governance, is to be responsive to the people. And signing that student loan into law, it means that everybody who wants to go to school, regardless of where your parents are, can actually have access to it. And following on from the accountability part, I think those are some of the things, because where is that money going to come from? We need that money, to come from somewhere that is going to be given to students. So I believe those are some of the things, that the money saved from the subsidy removal will be channeled into, so there we begin to have our accountability. And, that's something sustainable as well, because that's it's a recycled thing. Students finish, they are, absorbed back into our system, they work for the system, and they repay the loan. So, we can just look at ourselves, going on, we start to build, the brain drain that has taken place in the country. It's phenomenal. We can brain back in the country, where students actually can be trained properly, and they can stay within the system and give back to the system. And hopefully a lot of us, expectedly, a lot of us in the diaspora will come back and bring those brains that went out and bring it back in, to also contribute to training the students, Because part of why we also don't contribute is, our what do you call our centers of learning is way below par, way below standards of some of us whose brains have been drained, have now become accustomed to. So we need somewhere that, comes back to par, where we can now put back. So, this student loan, I was most excited about it. It's, I see it as one of the ways to begin to shore up our educational standard and bring back the real brains into the country.
All right, you did mention of something, which is, you said the students finishes in the system and then they work in the system, and in that 2 years grace given to them, they pay back within the system. I really want to know what you mean by that.
Well,
would there be jobs given to the students after graduation?
That's the whole idea of a student loan. In places where student loans have operated, you don't just take a loan, you finish your training, and then you hop on the next plane and leave the country. The whole point of a student's loan is for the system, being Nigeria, to give a loan for you to study, train, become accomplished in a certain field, and then you take that knowledge that you have acquired and put it back into the system that gave you loan. And while you are putting the knowledge back, you are earning an income from which you will be repaying. So you are repaying both in knowledge and also physically putting the cash back into the system.
When you say part of the loans is meant to go for the education and then also training, what do you mean by that? Because I can assure you that Nigerian students actually think that that money is meant for just school fees, and then school fees alone. And then, like, the way the Nigerian standard of education is right now, we don't think outside the box. All right? We are much more concerned with just paper certificate, which, for example, in the next 5-10 years might not actually make a difference in this society. So when you talk about the training, is it going to be out of the school system, or is it going to be within the school environment?
No, definitely it will be within the school environment, because, well, when I said the student loan definitely applies to the student, but there is no point having a student loan if the environment where the student is going to be trained in, it has also not been beefed up and brought up to standard. So we definitely we are going to be getting those. We've been getting those, but definitely not enough in terms of the allocation towards education, the allocation towards the educational system, the allocation towards, for universities, which is part of what the lecturers go on strike about. They strike because their universities are not being adequately funded. Those who need to do research do not have the tools or the support, the grants necessary to do their research. So those are all things that are going to work in sync with the student loan in order for us to have quality, outputs at the end of the training.
All right, Dr. Lin Jane, I think she has said a bit of this question, just answered a bit of it, but I'd like you to pick it up from the merits and demerits of the students' loan. Now, the lecturers are at home presently, all right? They're on strike presently, and also 2-3 days back made mention of the fact that the students' loan is going to cause more problems for the students, and that most students are going to be out of school during this period than is going to benefit the students. So what is your view on that?
Okay, I wouldn't want to, it's for every policy, we demand for a certain policy to come into play that is applicable elsewhere. Then when it comes, then we start throwing spanners in the wheel of that policy rather than provide solutions on how to even make it better. For instance, I do know the first base is to set this law in motion. Of course, there are also other problems around it after this project is now being implemented. Another thing, it's going to throw a lot of issues around. But then we will then be tackling those things one after the other. But the fundamental thing is this: is this policy good? Is this law good? Because now, no Nigerian child who have any excuse, who is intellectually capable, who has got his marks and is able to go to university, has an admission letter, is deprived of access to education because of lack of funds. That is the fundamental principle around this bill, which is a good thing. Okay, so now that it's in place, if we agree on that, at least it's a good policy. Let us now start looking at whatever issues that now come around this. We'll then tackle them one after the other. I think that's the most basic thing I would like to respond in that regard. I think it's going to be a good thing. And then, so many questions are also raised that, okay, after we do this, how about the repayment plan? Of course, we do understand that, of course, some Nigerians also, they do not want to pay back things when they owe, unfortunately. And then some are already thinking ahead that if I do not pay, will I now be arrested? This is another problem. Why will I be arrested? Why do you have to think in that manner that you are not even intending to pay back? How then do we service that for other persons who also need it? That same service that you have benefited from. So some Nigerians think in certain ways, and then we always try to look for problems around every solution. We always have a problem for every solution. You understand? So I think for me, I would rather say that we focus on whether this policy is a good one, whether if it is average Nigerian child, those, not just in the rich, affluent Nigerians, but those people at the base. This is a way of government from the federal actually touching the people at the grassroots. So it doesn't matter whose child you are, it doesn't matter who you know, it doesn't matter where you're from or how you've been or who are you. You have access to education if you have the capacity to attend the university. If you have the qualification or you've met the entry requirements, funds would never be a problem for you in accessing education. I think that's where I want to focus on. Thank you.
All right. That's Prince Adeshina.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Well, student loan, beautiful concept. But the but will be, what are the mechanisms in place in order for this thing to work the way it's been designed? I remember Dr. Alabi made mention of repayment back. I'll take you back to history of the people that have actually, they took the loan many years back, but up to date, they're still among us, failed to repay the loan. So what are the mechanisms in place? I've not really studied well about the student loan. In fact, it was a shock to me when I heard the president sign the bill of student loan. And I was also excited if the student loan can be properly copied the way the United Kingdom, they are doing their own student loan. However, I can also support, because of the new system, the only thing that the past president achieved was to impose what we call NIN into the system, whereby we will be able to use your NIN coupled with your BVN, which is these are unique numbers that you can easily trace the let me say, the student that must have applied or collected a loan. Now I can clap for Mr. President for such, and at the same time, I would like to study and see the policy document on the student loan, where we can easily now see it as something that they will not use it as a way to siphon the money that belongs to the people of Federal Republic of Nigeria, because we know the market money by the previous government led by Professor Oshibado, a pastor. I promise you, I don't think they have full accountability. They use the money market to do the campaign to win election. They actually stole the money and they pretended to be all
right,
well.
Prince Adeshina. All right, Prince Additional, please let's try and speak within what we are discussing. Okay, okay, Dr. Wale, please let's get to hear your opinion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, let me make this caveat. Although I've not gone through the provisions of the Students' Loan Act, uh, so I'll be talking as in general form. Let's not forget that some time ago, or a very long time ago, I say we have, or we had, what is called education tax. You know, which was meant to bring in revenue into the system of education in Nigeria. So it has not worked, unfortunately. So we don't know issues relating to accountability. But the reality of this moment tells us that the money is not there for government to continue to fund the government higher institutions. That's the reality that we have to face. And in that regard, in my view, I think the student loan is a good idea, is a good policy. But like Prince Additional said, we have to look at the modalities. And from one of the newspaper articles that I read, it's asking, one of the requirements is that your form must be signed by a judge or a magistrate or somebody in a high position. How many people have access to these people? That's, it's really not feasible. Those are the areas that I want the government to look into. Then secondly, it should be in a progressive form. You can't make a law today where people have not been prepared to have student loan and you implement it immediately. For me, we have to have a schedule whereby you say, okay, student loan will commence in the next 2 years. So get ready. When it commences in the next 2 years, are you going to take off 100% of the subsidy that you give? Or is it 50% that you are going to take off from the school fees, or 70%? That proportionality should come in. It should be in a progressive form, not just 100% you are taking it off. And for me, it would be like, it would be suicidal, and that would be really serious. It would be a serious issue where the Nigerian people are still suffering to meet up with their basic income. And, when you not get student loan, then fees will be high. And it's a direction that we are having now. That government says, no, we are not going to subsidize the institutions again. Be on your own, which I do agree. Unfortunately, the time is not there for us to go deeper. That
exactly. We're actually running.
Should have,
we're actually running out
they
of
should have
time.
been independent. So thank you.
All right, Dr. Alabi, just a minute there, please.
No, very quickly, what I just wanted to chip in there is that, that is the role of civil society organizations and, organizations like the Tinubu Support Organization to educate people. People need to be educated on how to receive these things, how these things work, how it impacts your life, how you can make, how your responsibility towards making this thing sustainable, so that not only you get the student loan, but your grandchildren can also come and benefit from it. So definitely there's going to be lots of programs. I can speak for our organization, TSO, that we will be organizing, programs, educational programs, letting people be on board with some of these new things. Just like you said, people are not used to getting student loans. We need to now start teaching people on how to manage the situation and behave well.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Legend.
Okay, I just want to quickly provide a bit of clarity. Not that I've studied the whole policy in its entirety, but I know, number one, I think they'll be getting, the funding will be coming from the oil sector, from this oil subsidy removal. I think 1% will be coming from that, from the money generated from our oil sector. 1% will be also be coming from the federal inland revenue, or from the tax that comes to the federal government. So 1% here, 1% here will be going to this loan thing for students. So that is clear. Then also, it's an interest-free loan, so there's no interest accruable on it. So it's the exact amount that you get, that's all you pay back. You can then, when you're done, you've got to NYSC. After 2 years, you start paying back the exact amount that you owe. So it's actually not going to be a strain really on any student. Then also remember, even in South Africa, when you want to apply for certain things, they'll tell you to go and do an affidavit. When they tell you to go to court, because you're trying to, Dr. Popola, you're mentioning about magistrate, it's not like you need to know a certain magistrate on a personal level to help you write a recommendation. No, sir. You just like we do affidavit, you go to court, you do an affidavit. It's just to legally bind you to what you're taking, so that you don't say you don't know what you're doing. If you are 18-year-old, you can actually make an affidavit. You go to any court, people will always help you to get that done. And then you sign it, you present it as part of your document to say, I am in support, I'm taking this with full consciousness that I intend to pay back. I think that's probably around this. And I don't think any person any government official or the policy will require that you know a judge on a one-on-one basis before you can apply for it.
All right, thank you so much. I think we need to have a season 2 of this conversation. So definitely we'll work towards that.
I think I want to say something before you go.
Okay, just a minute, just a minute.
Yes, I'm very usually. Let me just say a minute of.
No, I'm not trying to do that. You know, we'll discuss for over an hour.
Dr. Legend raised something about he has managed to study it in a bit. Okay, my question is the student's loan going to be paid directly to the students, or is going to be paid to the institution? Because I know some guys in the UK. I'm a UK boy. I understand the game. They get the students' loan into their own wallet and they will never study. So what you've read, if you are not sure, please don't try to play the game of APC or supporting your principal. Kindly tell me, I'm here to understand, or I'm here to get to the point how the money is going to be extended to the students.
Okay.
All right, I think we'll take your explanation as the conclusion of this interview, of this conversation. So please, Dr. Legend, you can answer him.
Okay, I think if I'm correct, I think the loan is capped at 500,000. I also know you have to apply through the university. What that means is you would have gotten an admission letter. The admission will also stipulate the department and the outline what you need to pay for. So I think the loan will be based on what you're paying for. So I want to believe they will be with your name and your matric number or whatever admission number, and then the school fees that you intend to be paying to that school. I think everything will be correlated, and then I believe that's the loan that will be released to the institution, so that it will minimize people just saying, I have admission, collect money, and disappear.
Yes, absolutely.
So for that one fundamental principle that you are applying through the university, not just yourself. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen and my lady. Thank you so much for being a guest on this program. Dr. Wale, please, let's get to hear your summary of the entire discussion.
Okay, in summary, all I would say is that let us support the new administration and ensure that we also ask for accountability at every point in time. We have to be sincere about that. Accountability all the way through. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir, for being my guest on this program. And like I said earlier, the House willing to have a season 2 of this conversation because there are so much policies to be discussed. But we'll talk that behind the camera after this program. Thank you so much once again for honoring our invites.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And viewers, we'll draw the curtain here for today. I still remain Frank Alidemundia. You have a blessed evening. Bye.